What's up, guys? Nick here, and welcome back to another Top 10 Tuesday. Today I'm going to be discussing the top 10 Ratchet and Clank Up Your Arsenal weapons. Now, these weapons are going to be only from the third game, which is Ratchet and Clank Up Your Arsenal, just because I feel like it deserves its own list, because it's known to be one of the best games in the franchise, and also known to be having the best weapons in the franchise too. So let's get on with it with number 10. At number 10 we have the splitter rifle, which is your normal type of sniper weapon, and so it's good long range, but when it comes to close range combat it's pretty bad. But also the other bad thing about it is that it doesn't have that much ammo. I think it starts off with like 8 ammo, and then when you level it up it gets, I think, up to 12 or 16 ammo, which isn't that good in this game, so that's why it's at number 10. But it's very good because it's very good long range, and it can actually hit up to 3 enemies when it's in Omega form, and it's very powerful too. It can actually kill bosses very easily, but then again it's only good when it's long range, and it's not good when you're fighting against characters that are melee attackers, and that's why it's at number 10. Anyway, at number 9 we have the Agents of Dread glove. Now, this glove sends out 4 robots that fly up in the air and have turrets on them, basically being your own like little minions, fighting with you and attacking any enemies nearby. And then when you send out another pair, they're on the ground with turrets, and they run up to the closest enemy that's on the ground though, and basically kamikaze and make this big explosion, basically doing a lot of damage and killing the enemy that's on the ground. But the only bad part about it is that, like, it doesn't have that much ammo. It only has 12, but each ammo does only cost 1, so 1 is 4 of those robot things. But I feel like it doesn't do that much damage when it's like side by side with you, like when they're flying in the air and shooting the missiles, or yeah, the missiles on their sides. I feel like it doesn't really do that much damage, but it does help a little bit, because I mean, you could be just doing whatever and they'll be attacking the enemy, and you don't even have to attack the enemy. These guys will attack for you. You just be running around and doing whatever. And that's the reason that's at number 9, is because I feel like it just doesn't do that much damage. But when they're on the ground they do a lot of damage when they explode and stuff, but when they're in the air following you around and shooting their missiles, I feel like they don't do that much damage. Anyway, at number 8 we have the shock cannon, which is actually the first weapon you get in the game, and it really is a good one. It's basically your shotgun type of weapon, where it does a lot of damage but has really bad range, but has a good area blast though. It can like hurt up to every character, every enemy on your screen, and you wouldn't be hurt. Also, when it gets to its Omega form, it can actually charge up, costing 5 ammo and doing a lot more damage, and I think more range and area blast too. And it's really a very powerful weapon, but the only downside is that it's very slow too, and it doesn't have that good range, and that's why it's at number 8. Anyway, at number 7 we have the N90 Hurricane, or also known as the N60 Storm, which is the level 1 version of it. It's basically your shooter type of weapon, where you can just a rapid fire weapon that doesn't do that much damage but has a lot of ammo, and you can aim very well with it too. It basically, I think it has 400 ammo when it's at its Omega form, which is a lot. And when it's in an Omega form, actually, the bullets actually, if it doesn't hit someone, it bounces off the walls until it either hits someone or it just doesn't. And most of the time it does hit an enemy, so it's basically every 400 ammo that it has, it mainly hits the enemy, which is pretty good, and it has really good range. I think it has like infinite range, like the splitter rifle, but it's at number 7 because it's not that powerful, but it does make up for it with its ammo, and it's bouncing off the walls bullets. Anyway, at number 6 we have the Tesla barrier, which is basically a shield type of weapon where it's not really a weapon, but it's a shield that when you use it, it basically gives you a shield that surrounds your whole entire body, and it's better than the other shield weapon that you get, which is the shield glove, or I don't even know what it's called, but it's a really bad weapon. But the Tesla barrier is much better, and when it gets to its Omega form, it can actually tase other enemies that are close to it, doing a pretty good amount of damage, and it's very good against the enemies like the one-eyed Terranoids that come up to you and you don't really want to waste your ammo. And it's also very good for just any you can combine it with any other weapon, because you just put on the Tesla barrier and then put another weapon, and then equip another weapon, because you really can't equip the Tesla barrier. You just put it on and then choose another weapon, and it's good with every weapon, and that's why it's at. The reason it's at number 6 though is because it doesn't have that much ammo. I think it ends up with 5 ammo, and also because it's just a shield, so it's not really a weapon, but it actually does act like a weapon because it can tase the other enemies nearby, so making it pretty useful. Anyway, at number 5 we have the Mega Turret Glove, which is a glove that you shoot out the different turrets, and the turrets do a lot of damage actually, and you can just do whatever you want, basically like the Agents of Dreed. But I feel like the Mega Turrets are a lot more powerful, and you can have as many as you want on the field. I think it like caps up to 15 on the field, and they can all be targeting the enemy. I think they can take damage though, like they can be damaged by the enemy, but they're much more powerful than the Agents of Dreed, and I like them a lot. Anyway, at number 4 we have the Annihilator, which is basically your rocket launcher type of weapon, where it shoots out this like major fire, like this major ammo that major firepower. I can't speak. Alright. Major firepower, and does a lot of damage. And as a kid, I always thought this was the most OP weapon. I always loved using it. And when it gets to its Omega form, after hitting a target, it actually splits into smaller missiles, and they start attacking other enemies, which makes it even better. And it has a decent amount of ammo too. I think it has like up to 30 ammo, which is very good for a rocket launcher type of weapon. Anyway, at number 3 we have the Heavy Bouncer, which is basically this giant ball, like a giant spike ball, and when you launch it, if it doesn't hit anyone, it takes a while for it to split up, but when it hits someone, it does massive damage, and then it splits up to a bunch of tiny little spike balls, and they basically target onto the enemy, which makes it really helpful, because it just doesn't like split up into small tiny spike balls. It actually like targets onto the enemy and like homes in on it, making it very powerful. All the little tiny bouncers, I guess you can call them, go and home onto this enemy or other enemies around it, and basically just is a giant area blast weapon. And it has a lot of ammo too. I think it has like 20 ammo or something like that, and it's very powerful. But the only downside about it is that it only really attacks ground type ground enemies, where enemies in the air you really can't do anything about it, and you have to switch out weapons and shoot them up in the air. Anyway, at number 2 we have the Quack-O-Ray, which turns any enemy into a duck. I can't find another game that does that. So like, it's very unique, And the thing about it though is that it has infinite ammo. You can just be spraying this weapon all over the place and you wouldn't lose any ammo because it doesn't have any ammo, which makes it a really good weapon because you could just be shooting this weapon all day but nothing would affect it because it has infinite ammo. And yeah, and when it gets to its Omega form, which is like the Quack-O, I forget what it's called, but when it gets to its Omega form, it actually turns the ducks into flaming ducks, and those flaming ducks would attack the enemies that haven't been turned into ducks yet. But the only downside about it is that it takes a little bit longer for each harder enemies. So like the easy enemies, it takes like less than a second to turn them into a duck, but the harder enemies, it takes a little bit longer for them to turn into a duck. Anyway, at number 1 we have the Rhino. Now this weapon is so overpowered, it's so good. It doesn't really do that much. It doesn't do damage. It just destroys anything in its sight. Basically, when you launch the whatever it is, the like beam of light, it basically disintegrates any enemy on the screen, and it's just so overpowered. And the reason it's also at number 1 is because it's the 3rd Rhino. I mean, there's no other weapon that has been in all 3 games other than this weapon because it's so good. And I just love it. Just using it all over the place. You can make it come up to level 5 very easily because it's such a good weapon. It has a lot of ammo too. I think it has like 50 ammo, which is really good for such an overpowered weapon. And I haven't really tested it out on bosses, but I would think that it does some damage. Basically, like when you shoot out the beam of light, any enemies that hit it, it basically destroys first, and then it makes basically the whole screen turns white, and then you see all the other enemies on the screen basically crumble into ashes. It's a very, very powerful weapon, but I haven't seen I haven't used it actually against any bosses because I just didn't feel like it worked. But maybe I'll try against if I ever play this game again. But yeah, so that is my top 10 Ratchet and Clank up your arsenal weapons. If I missed any weapons, let me know, because there are like 10 or 20 more weapons other than the weapons I just showed. But yeah, so thank you all for watching. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and stay tuned for more Top 10 Tuesdays right here on Until next time. Bye.